Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another third/fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. And also hope every single person had relatively a great, safe, okay Memorial Day weekend. I know there's a lot of people that are still recovering and getting through, but I think it's hopefully fair to say that it's hopefully at least better than most of last year. I mean, especially because at least when I walk outside last year, it was truly dead, and you're at least starting to see people come out again. So hopefully it was a better Memorial Day weekend. But as you guys can see from the title, is that today I really just want to talk about the second wave of the unemployment benefits extension, specifically about the tax return, because we are now starting to see the second wave now start to get sent out this week. If you guys have been following, you guys probably know, but if not, also welcome new people, consider subscribing to join in. But the idea is that this week is going to be a lot more focused now on people that are either married couples, people that have more complicated tax returns, and also interestingly anyone that's a single filer that might have gone through certain delays that might have happened, which we will talk about in today's update, if you happen to still be waiting for any of the reasons that we just mentioned or will be mentioning in just a little bit. Because if you are a single filer or a head of household and you are still waiting, do notice is that the really great news is that there are people from last week that have officially confirmed that they have received it. However, also from asking around, it does seem like there are still actually a lot of people that are actually still very much waiting. And I think that there's actually a lot more people that are waiting than people that have received it. But the great news is, and if you have received it, huge congrats there is that it means that it's confirmed that they've at least started to finally start to send out payments, even if it's, you know, still kind of partially sent out and they're still waiting to send out more payments. And I also think it's important to note, as we kind of mentioned, although there are still a lot of new people, so welcome if you guys happen to be brand new here, but the big thing to notice is also to keep in mind is that not every single person qualifies for this unemployment tax refund. The great news is I think that most people will qualify at least for something, but as we kind of have mentioned in one of the last updates that we kind of made, is that there are specific groups of people that may not necessarily qualify. Probably the most perfect example is if you happen to be someone that maybe has a tax refund that's supposed to be owed to you, but maybe you also happen to owe taxes to the IRS. So it's very possible, say for example, maybe you're due or you're supposed to receive, let's say originally $2,000, and because that is actually a very realistic amount, most people are probably going to receive between $1,000 to $2,000, but it's very possible that what might end up happening is maybe you qualify to receive $2,000, but then maybe you also owe the IRS a certain amount of money, so maybe it becomes offset. So in a lot of ways, you actually now end up actually owing the IRS money. So that is a possible, you know, situation. The other big thing to note is also, as we kind of mentioned, is that do keep in mind is that this tax refund is also being garnished. So if you happen to have some kind of bill or you owe something of some kind, the most common kind of garnishment is probably child support and probably also just other tax debt. I'd say that those are the two most common, but if you happen to be in debt of any kind, it is very possible that they may garnish it in order to pay it. I think the great news is that there's a lot of debate right now between how strict they are, because it's very possible that maybe you happen to actually be in debt, but maybe they just never end up actually enforcing it. And it's even more true if the kind of debt that you are in debt for happens to be a private related debt, then it is very possible that maybe you are technically in debt, but maybe they just don't enforce it, and so you are still able to receive it. But it is just something I think really important to note above all else. But today I pretty much just want to talk about the status of the unemployment refunds. I want to talk about also how you can potentially check when you might potentially receive your refund if you're just looking to find that information, and also maybe to share possible reasons to why you might be going through a delay if you are someone that still happens to be waiting. So we're gonna get right to it in a little bit, but maybe real fast before we begin, consider smashing the like button because it's always greatly appreciated and helps to share support. Consider subscribing if you guys are brand new here for future similar videos like this, and also to get updated. We will probably also go back to making a lot more just general finance videos, so just a huge heads up for that. And as always, feel free to comment any questions or your thoughts. Even more true, maybe comment down your state, maybe your unemployment program, and then whether or not you have received your refund, and also maybe your status. So for example, like if you're a single filer, married couple, or head of household, and then yeah, whether or not you've received your unemployment, because the most accurate information will always come from the people. And we also use this so you guys can kind of maybe find other people that are maybe in your state, even though I know it's a federal program. So that being said, let's get this video rolling right now. So as just mentioned, is that the people that are expected to start to receive this week will be married couples. It will be people with more complicated tax return, although that one's a little bit more of an interesting case because you might actually get that even after this week. So as in, because those people are a little bit more, there's a little bit more variety to people with more complicated tax returns to when they will receive it, but also just simply also just people that are single filers that maybe didn't receive it last week, but that simply it was because maybe they just went through several kinds of delays. Now, in terms of what are these possible delays that could have potentially happened, which we're going to talk about, is that the first real delay that might have honestly really just happened is that there are actually a lot of people that reported facing delays, and one of the very likely reasons, it might just be because your tax return is still being processed. This is even more true if you happen to be someone that maybe filed your taxes very, very last minute. So for example, maybe if you filed in the month of May, something within 2 weeks before it was due, it is very possible that it may have just, it's just still sitting with the IRS and they're just still waiting to kind of process. I know, for example, actually admittedly my tax return is going through something similar right now. I file with TurboTax, so maybe it's easier to relate there is that I do know especially a lot of tax softwares, they're going through a thing where they're just taking their time to process through every single person's return, and they might have simply just not gotten up to you yet. So it is possible that maybe you went through a delay partially because of that reason. Now, if it so happens that maybe you did file early, then it's also possible that maybe you might be going through a delay because it's possible that you did file early, but that while it is true, as most of you guys know, that the really, really great news is that they will be making all amendments necessary, so you don't necessarily, at least most people, there's a couple exceptions we already talked about in a couple previous videos, but the idea is that most of you guys should be set and do not have to file an amendment. However, just because you don't have to file an amendment, and just because the great news that it is a smooth and automatic process, does not necessarily mean that it's going to be a fast process. So it's very, very possible that they are still working on it. They're going to process it. However, it's possible that maybe they're just haven't physically gone up to your amendment yet, and you're just basically still, we're basically just still waiting for the IRS to get through that. But I think the big thing to notice is that people have already started to confirm to receive it. Maybe comment down if you have, or if you haven't received it, so other people can know as well. But I do believe is that by the end of this week, the overwhelming majority of people will hopefully, with the assumption and hope that everything stays on schedule and bearing that there are no potential delays going from here, I think that the overwhelming majority of people should be able to receive it by the end of this week. Now, if you are interested in possibly trying to check your status, I believe that many people have actually shared that if you were to go onto the IRS website, so irs.gov, and you were to either log into your IRS account exactly with the same exact account that you use for a lot of things related to the IRS, for example, like settling bills, checking your stimulus check in the past, you know, if you guys had to do that, if you were to log into your IRS portal, I think that in one of the tabs, and it might even just be literally in the front page, if your tax has officially processed, it should actually tell you when you should hopefully expect to receive your tax refund. If you don't see any information there, then it's very, very possible it probably means that they just don't have information at this time. In fact, I actually just logged in and checked the IRS, and I actually don't have information either. So I'm kind of with you if you are in that shoes. Now, if you do have information, then huge congrats and great news, but it is just something to really note. I do believe also is that there is also a page on the IRS, I think it's literally just irs.gov/refunds, where you might even be able to input information and check it. The only thing is, I think that in order to check that, you have to actually have the specific amount of money that you expect to receive from the IRS so that you can actually check the status of it. You can probably find that from either looking at your tax software. I know TurboTax should almost definitely show it. Or also, if you were to check with your accountant or the place that you essentially use to file your taxes, if you were to input that, it could potentially pop up and show you the date and when you should specifically receive it. And again, if you don't see it, it probably means that they're still processing, which is actually one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are going through delays right now. But essentially beyond this, that's pretty much what I just really wanted to share in today's update. So hopefully more people start to receive it. Maybe consider smashing the like button. If you guys found it insightful, consider subscribing for similar videos like this and other finance topics. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all. Happy start to the brand new month. It is crazy. We are almost at the halfway point. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.